I just want to unpack just a little bit this idea of trying to strike that balance between not being flippant, not undercutting the seriousness of Ross's situation of the family members, and I never felt like you crossed that. And so I wanted to know how did you decide on how to still be funny? Because like I promised the esteemed audience right at the start of the show, this is a very funny book. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh hard, much harder than you would think you would laugh, given the content. So what was that line, and how did you make those decisions? Was it just a gut feeling, or did you have like a checklist of things that you had to go through with jokes to make sure that they were in the right lane? I don't know how to word it correctly.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I probably had an internal checklist. I think what I finally landed on was I wanted the humor to come from Ross's voice. And having gone through a lot of the same things that Ross goes through in this book, I guess I felt like I had a pretty good sense of where the humor could be. And I will also say this is another example of where having a great agent and editor who work with you on the book, if they ever felt icky about something, for lack of a better word, they would say, but we really didn't have too much of that. It was a question of finding, probably the toughest part of that was the cartoons, because originally I had more, like I said, cartoons in there, and they just felt too jokey, so we pulled those. But as far as the writing, I think so long as I kept it in his voice, in his head, and that's part of why it's nice to write in first person like that. The sense of humor comes from the way he puts things and the way he, there's lots of comparisons in here. He's like, oh, this is as bad as, and that'll be funny. Or, things like, oh, I felt like, I got slobbered on, and it was I'm trying to think of an example, but I think just keeping it in his voice was the most important thing. And if it felt authentic to his voice, then it was okay. Now, I have some things that happen, like there's an incident with some hair and in the lunchroom, and I wanted that to be. I think there's humor in there, but it's also kind of heartbreaking, and that's some of my favorite stuff in books, when you can find that line to ride where you're almost not sure how to feel about it as you're reading it, or you laugh and you feel bad for laughing, but yet, then he laughs about it and you realize he's still got a sense of humor about it. It was just sort of a dance that you do throughout the whole book. Again, that sounds kind of weird to say writing was a dance, but I think we were constantly writing that line and trying to find the right balance. And there were some scenes that had to go because they didn't feel right. And somebody asked me, I told somebody, ultimately, I'm not even sure how funny or sad the book is, because I just kind of, on some level, told the story in Ross's voice. And, I would love to set it aside and 5 years later come back and read it and figure out, because some people have told me that different parts choked them up. I guess I didn't even think of that. I was just sort of telling the story. So to me, that's a big compliment, because at least it feels like I wasn't manipulating people. I wasn't sitting here going, oh, I'm gonna pull a tear out of a person right now.
I defend the I call them the Nicholas Sparks of the world.
Yeah.
That is what we're paying for. Here's my money, Mr. Sparks. Make me cry.
That's true. That's
right,
true. I would like for it to happen authentically, and I'm not saying Nicholas Sparks doesn't. I think he's a master at it. But that was never my aim, was to make somebody cry writing this book. I was trying to tell the story, and I think if that comes out organically. There were times when I was definitely trying to make people laugh, but the sad parts that happened more just out of what the story was, I think.
You find you feel more comfortable manipulating people to laugh than trying to manipulate them to feel a different emotion?
I do. Yeah, I'm sure an analyst could take me apart for that.
Oh, I think that's just that Midwestern Hoosierness.
I think it
I
is.
think
My
that's
Midwestern night comes out. Yeah. Yeah, and
I feel the same way, and I think it's because we're Hoosiers.
that must be it. Yeah, and I've had several people, say on Twitter or something, oh my gosh, this book, oh, you made me cry, and my first instinct is I want to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Um, which maybe that's not the reaction I should have, but I wasn't setting out to do that. I think I knew it was a sad story in parts, but I wasn't. I wasn't going for a tear count or anything like that. So.
If it helps, I feel that when I cry during a story, that's a version of applauding the author. Like, hey, you did great stuff. Here you go. You were in these.
Yeah. Well, everything I've written before this has been kind of funny. So in some ways, it just kind of surprises me that somebody would react that way to something I wrote. So that's it does feel like somebody's saying, "Nice job, you wrote that well." So that feels good.
It should be gratifying.
Yeah,
I know it's that Midwestern. I shouldn't be comfortable with it, but you've done a good thing for the world. People need to cry. They need to get this emotion out their chest.
Yeah.
Especially if they've dealt with anything even close to similar to the situation in this book. This could be a tremendous aid to them.
Yeah, I hope so. That's my ultimate goal with this. So, yeah, it was a tough book to write in parts, but I'm glad I did.